Okay, welcome to Zero to Python Day 8. Today we are going to work on saving input to a file. Now, what that means is that we are going to take what we've previously done with getting user input, and we are going to take that user input, the text that you put into a journal entry, and we are going to save it to a file. Now, Python makes this pretty easy and pretty straightforward, so the code is not going to be too hard. So let's go ahead and get started now.
All right, let's get into saving text files. So what we are going to be doing today is basically learning how to write to file in Python and then integrate it with our existing code. So first things first, we're going to start with a new file here called file.py. This will allow us kind of a clean slate to work out of. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a variable called fake text. We're just going to put some text in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to print it out. And all of this should look incredibly familiar. Okay, so we have some code that just prints out text. You already know how to do that. Okay, so let's get into the actual file IO bits. So first thing we do is we run so we're going to create a new variable called myFile. Okay, so what this does is I'm going to kind of combine a couple bits here. So you have myFile, which is a variable. You should already understand what that is. And then we're calling open, which is a Python function that will open up a file. This is the file that we're giving it. It's called test.txt. And then the W is the basically file options that we're giving it. So this will be a write file handler. So we are then going to write myFile.write fake text. And then we're going to close myFile. So this is the basic code to actually open up a file, which seems pretty obvious, write a variable to the file. So we're going to write ABC123 to the file, and then we're going to close it. So that does that. But if you open up this, we now have test.txt, and that has ABC123. So we could put other text in there too. So like we could add a new line, hello, and then run it again. And then we print that out, and that's cool, but it should show up here in our text file. So this is very cool. This is, pretty straightforward. Python makes it really nice and easy to open up a file, write some content to it, and then close it. So that is step one. So now you kind of should be able to do that. So let's jump back over into input.py. So as you see here, what we're doing is we are creating a new entry. We already have that. We're getting the input. We're putting it out. But wait a second. We're not saving it to a file. So what if we basically save to file? So what we can do is we can actually copy this, and what we can do is we can pretty much say, okay, so these write statements here are kind of the same as the print statement here. So we should be able to pretty much copy those verbatim, right? So let's do that. I'm going to just take this first one, copy it here, and then myFile.write, and then the same kind of thing. Actually, I'll just copy the rest. Then pull this in. And then we will get rid of the fake text there. So let's see what this gives us. when we run it. So now we're running input.py. So, okay, clear Python 3 input.py. Okay, what is in our file? Okay, so 111, this is some text. That's pretty good, but it's not exactly the same kind of format. We are missing some new lines. So let's jump back in here and add some new lines. So I think we add a new line here. Looks like, basically, so it looks like in general, we're not getting the extra new lines at the end of each write. It's just gonna like add more to the file. So we're gonna add a new line there. And then I think if we add a new line there, that should generally give us what we want. Let's try it. Okay. Yeah, so now we've got some spacing around the 111, so basically a spacing between the date, the actual content, and then spacing afterwards. So I think that's really what we want. You can imagine if we had other things that like future, inputs, future journal entries, basically, that you could, have spaces between them, that sort of thing. So that really wraps it up for today. That is how you can write to a file in Python. So let's go on to the assignment.
All right, your assignment today is pretty straightforward. You take the code that we just wrote for getting user input and you apply it to your own code. Basically take the code, write it yourself, make it so that you can get user input and save it to a file. Now, one good thing to do here is after you save it to a file, go ahead and open up the file in a text editor, just a plain text editor or your code editor, and make sure that it actually saved what you expected it to save. Now, for bonus, you can play around with different formatting, adding new lines, adding special characters, other things that you're basically make it more readable from your perspective or maybe more interesting to use as a file format. But again, that's bonus, and do that if you want or not. So that's it for day 8. Thank you for watching.